Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. I wanted to read this article for you real quick, just to keep you guys in the loop as to what's happening with our economy. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that due to this health crisis, Americans are going to have to come together instead of being divided. Because I think that is the only way that we are going to make it through this. Now, will that happen? I don't know, but I hope so. Because the news that keeps coming out on the economy, especially on small businesses, mom and pop shops, the middle class, is no good. Yes, the guys that are able to buy into the stock market and that are, as they are called, the 1%, i.e. corporations that are buying back their stocks with their money that they were given by the government. And I say given because it's pretty much given. They take our money, give it to them, they take that money, and then they buy their own stocks. In this last case, I believe that they were restricted from doing that. But what did they do? They went ahead and adhered to the conditions of being able to borrow the money and then being forgiven that loan. And then as soon as the time lapsed, they started laying people off. For most of you that don't know, or for any of you that don't know this, one of the conditions of those monies that were loaned to these big corporations and big companies, one of the conditions is that they had to keep their employees on the payroll for a certain number of weeks. And as you can see, many businesses are now starting to lay off employees because that time has come and gone. So they were able to keep the money that they borrowed, not having to pay it back, and now they're starting to lay people off. The title of this article is Yelp data shows 60% of business closures due to this health crisis are now permanent. Now, someone asked me in a previous video, why do I go ahead and change the naughty word to health crisis? And YouTube goes ahead and demonetizes your video, and then your video doesn't get recommended, meaning that only a few eyes will have the opportunity to click on the video because almost no one will be able to see the video because it's not recommended. Yelp on Wednesday released its latest economic impact report, revealing business closures across the U.S. are increasing as a result of this health crisis economic toll. As of August 31, 163,735 businesses have indicated on Yelp that they have closed. That's down from the 180,000 that closed at the very beginning of this health crisis. However, it actually shows a 23% increase in the number of closures since mid-July. In addition to monitoring closed businesses, Yelp also takes into account the businesses whose closures have become permanent. That number has steadily increased throughout the past 6 months, now reaching 97,966, which represents 60% of closed businesses that will not be reopening. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's too bad that I was wrong. Because a while back, I don't know, maybe a month, 2 months ago, when all this stuff first started, when these businesses started closing, I said that I thought that at least 40 to 50% of businesses that closed were not going to be reopening. Now I kind of wish I was right, because it's even worse than what I thought. Instead of 40 to 50%, it's 60%. Overall, Yelp's data shows that business closures have continued to rise, with a 34% increase in permanent closures since last report in mid-July. Justin Norman, Vice President of Data Science at Yelp, told NBC. Yelp's September report marks 6 months since March 1st, the date that the company considers to be the beginning of the business crisis. In order to gather closure data, Yelp monitors changes in business hours or descriptions on its apps, offering an immediate, localized view of the impact of this health crisis. Despite the hard-hit small businesses have certainly taken, we've seen that home, local professionals, and automotive services have been able to withstand the effects of the pandemic better than other industries. The data supports the trend that most consumers are choosing to stay home over patronizing establishments physically, as home and professional services such as landscapers, contractors, and lawyers see a much lower closure rate than clothing stores and even home decor businesses. Auto and towing services are also reported a relatively low closure rate. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the problems with all these businesses closing for good is that our economy is pretty much a service economy, right? We have people working in the food industry, restaurant industry, service industry, hotel, hospitality, things like that. And now that people have been conditioned to stay home, all of these businesses that pretty much relied on people getting out of their house and patronaging them, now they're closing down. And it doesn't look like they're going to reopen. Throughout the past 6 months, restaurants, bars, and nightlife venues have been hit the hardest by the restrictions brought by this health crisis. 32,109 restaurants have closed as of August 31st. The number of restaurants forced to permanently close is slightly above Yelp's total average at 61%. Yelp has also noted that businesses already well suited for takeout, such as pizza places, coffee shops, and delis, are treading water better than other restaurants. The types of restaurants with the highest closures include breakfast and brunch places, sandwich shops, and Mexican restaurants. Norman noted that policy changes in the coming weeks and months could have an impact on whether these closures turn permanent. The continued rollout of indoor dining, especially in metros like New York City, will be worth watching, as it will be critical for businesses to maintain the right balance of practicing social distancing and other responsible safety measures to ensure they can stay open. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you pretty much get the gist of what's going on. The middle class is being decimated. All right? We are not being allowed to make a living because of the regulations and rules that those that we have elected to represent us are passing. Now, I believe that this health crisis is real. However, sometimes the solution to a problem may cause a bigger problem than the problem that you started with. I guess only time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you got something out of this. I'll go ahead and leave the link to this article. That way, if you want to read the entire thing, you can just go ahead and click on the link. It will be at the very bottom of the description of the video. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in. I hope you got something out of this. If anything, it should tell you that preparing is the right thing to do. Try to get out of debt as much as you can. Try to be as prepped as you possibly can for the months to come, because I still believe that this winter is going to be very challenging. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, that there's nothing wrong with charity. So if you've already got all your preps, go ahead and get some more, that you might be able to help out your neighbor should your neighbor need some help. Having said that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.